Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Business Banking at Jovia Financial Credit Union, along with Denisha Boston Hill, CEO, keeper of the brand, marketing and digital agency.
We're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services to help you grow your business. Plus, we interview the biggest and the best leaders in the industry.
We certainly do. And today we have a returning Tower Talk guest. His name is George Pickney Jr. He's the CEO of Evolution of S&G and Senior Account Manager at Genesis Merchant Services. Now, George is a seasoned business professional in this arena, and Genesis' mission is to be the most professional, creative, and helpful private finance firm around. And this time around, though, we're focusing on George's work with his interns. So we have his interns with us today, Johanza Blaze and Prekarn Singh, and we're gonna basically show how the work that he does has a very positive effect on professional, personal, and workforce development. George, glad to have you back on the show today, and Johanza and Prekarn, welcome. Glad to have you on board. Before we kind of jump into the work that you're doing with your interns, George, can you tell us a little about the services that you provide and why it's important?
So the services that the company I work with we provide business financing for businesses all over the country, such as short-term financing, meaning business loans. We also do lines of credits, and we're also working with the SBA as well.
Fantastic. That's really great. And so this is your second time here with us with Tower Talk. I missed interviewing the first time.
Yes, you did.
Please tell us a little bit about what was your passion and purpose for even launching your business.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, launching my own business, my partners actually talked me into it and everything. And I'm very big into evolution. I'm very big into investing into the future. And the evolution of S&G, I wanted it to be a platform where I can bungee jump young talent and give them a head start and everything. And Genesis gave me that opportunity. So we pretty much found a way to merge everything together to make it make sense, where now we're able to put, future business people ahead of the game. Because that is my true mission, is to put them ahead of the curve, to give them value, not experience. My mission is to give them value in the job market, not experience. And I've been able to do that over the last 2 years. I have very good success rate, and I'm looking to continue that. And today, I brought some special guests with me.
Yeah, I'm very excited about Johanza and Precinct being here today. They're awesome. I can tell right away that they're kind of suited for this type of work. And just before we get to them, so I'm curious, what do you look for in the interns? Who's best suited for this type of work?
My main target market is business majors, whether it be business law, advertising, marketing, financing, accounting. If you are a business major or a business mindset person, that is my target market. So I know exactly what type of people I'm going for. It doesn't matter whether you're a female, a male, doesn't matter height, whatever you are, I'm willing to work with you. Now, I do let them know it is not easy, because they're actually really talking to real life business owners. So they have to go through an aggressive training process. Then when they get in the office, it's a continuous process. As Summers Blaze said, it's very hyper-focused.
Now, there's so many internship opportunities out there.
Mm-hmm.
What is your KPI? What is the North Star for someone saying, you know what, this opportunity is available, but I want to work with George?
The way I answer that is, I'm here to give them value. I'm here to back them, not just in the present, but in the future. Because that's something that a lot of companies don't do. They just bring people in, they have them do what they need to do, and then they just throw them back in the water. No, I want you to know, once you work with me, I expect for you to go to a greater level. As the young lady who's sitting next to me and the gentleman who's sitting next to me, they're all in different positions when they first started. So that is my mission, is to, where you started is not where you're going to end with me. But it's going to be a dogfight.
Oh, nice. And what type of skills do you hone when someone joins your team?
One of the things I mostly focus on is listening. listening is very, very important, because that's something that, our parents used to say to us, are you listening to me? So that's one of the number one focus that I say, listen, you guys got to listen, because when you're on the phones and you're talking to these people, you really got to pay attention, because then that can be the deal breaker in you actually getting in the file and actually helping us get the deal done. So the first thing I was focused on, listen, especially if you want to be in business, you have to have good listening skills, and I target that. I focus on their strengths and hire their weaknesses.
Now, and that's absolutely true. Really, the key to doing business is developing relationships, and you can't really develop a relationship if you're not a good listener. At least that's what my wife always says.
I heard that.
Yeah. I want to get to Johanza and Precinct. I want to talk with them. So I guess, Johanza, let's go with you first. What have you learned from this program? Like, what skills are you learning that are going to be useful now that you're kind of entering the workforce? You're actually in the workforce when you're working with George.
This is kind of like a basic skill, but really important for me, is persistence. Like George said, this is a dogfight. Sometimes, most of the time, it's really hard, but you have to see it through. You have to see the goal and go towards it, no matter how difficult it may be. So that's why I would say a skill that I've probably kind of mastered, I would say, is being persistent.
And when you say being persistent, so the work that you're doing, you're pretty much doing like the business development work. You're calling folks. So tell me a little bit about that process and how you've been working with that.
Okay, so with the persistence and in Genesis, so like I said, it is a dogfight. When I first started, I actually thought I wasn't qualified for it, but George, he kind of picked me up and showed me, hey, do it, get it done. Right. And it's through that I was actually able to get better. I gained confidence through that. And I'm a very different person to how I was when I first started. I'm more, when it comes to the work that I do, I know what I'm doing. I'm confident in it. So just sticking through and being persistent, no matter how I felt, that's what really, really did it for me.
I do think that when you're working with someone who shows you and demonstrates to you that they have confidence in you, that does give you a little bit of a lift, and you go, okay,
100%.
You know what? I can do this.
Exactly.
I can do this. Now, how about Precinct? Same question for you.
Sure. So some of the most important skills that I have learned and that I continuously improve is delegating, being strategic, and also being persistent, because we need to learn how to deal with clients of different backgrounds, different net worths, and different industries. So as we talk and work more with these business owners, we really get to pick up certain trends within their industries and what we need to look out for when we talk to these business owners, and what we need to touch upon so that we know who we're working with and what we can do for them. And managing clientele and just staying on top of things, because people are busy. Some owners might tell us, hey, call me later in the evening or call me really early in the morning. So just being on top of that time frame and really getting it done, it just creates the opportunity for yourself and beating your competition. So just being strategic and staying on your toes is one of the biggest skills that I've learned.
And it goes back to the listening, too, because you're having these conversations with business owners and you're saying, and you're hearing, all right, well, there's specific times, because we think, 9 to 5, that's when we're going to call people. But at the end of the day, isn't that when the business owners are working the hardest? Listening to them and what they need is definitely key. Now, workforce development, that's a very important topic on Long Island, because as things get more expensive, and I know I worry about it for my kids as they get older and now they're graduating, and what are they going to do to stay on Long Island? And that's all about the financial impact. So tell me a little bit about the work that you're doing and how that's making an impact on you and, again, your workforce development and your finances, and how that works. Is that something that's also helping you?
So it's a great question. I just graduated from NASA in May, and I'm going to Hofstra. So that's one way I'm staying on Long Island.
Excellent.
But, just delegating with different business owners, and it just gives me a realization that there's a lot of money to be made out there. We work with different owners of vast networks, and it's almost a motivation. It is a motivational booster to myself that I can get to a 7-figure earning salary one day, and it just makes me look at finances a little bit differently, as well as in cutting back on unnecessary expenses and just really focus on investing, saving, because sometimes we see it's a trend in the current economy, because what I'm starting to notice is people aren't being paid on time, and it's such a domino effect to the next person, because if a business is not paid on time, how are they going to pay their employees? How are they going to run operations? So it's definitely opened your mind into your personal finances as well.
You are listening to Tara Talk Business Radio on the voice of National Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, and our guests today are George Pickney Jr., CEO, Evolution of S&G, and Senior Account Manager of Genesis Merchant Services, along with Preesing and Johanza, his interns. So going back to our interns here, what mistakes have you made as you're doing things? Because we all know that failure is the way that we learn. It's important to fail, because if you don't fail, you'll never learn. You'll never progress. What experiences have you had with regards to failure and how you've overcome that and learned from that? And we'll start with Johanza.
My biggest mistake is the fact that I didn't start sooner. I guess.
I love it.
I've always had a business mindset, but I never put it into play until I want to say last year, because I didn't know how much I loved business until I actually got into it. Even growing up, my parents and my fiance's family, they told me, you should get into business, but I never really took them on until recently. I would say me actually diving into business and finance, that has been my biggest breakthrough. And Genesis has really been the catapult as bringing me into who I am as a businesswoman, as a business person.
Preesing, how about yourself?
So some of the mistakes that I have made, it might be a little strange, but it was just the way I spoke. It was my tonality. When I would talk at first, I was talking at such a high pitch, like not high pitch, but like just very loudly, very aggressively. And I noticed that it would be a turnoff for the person on the other side of the phone. So I had to adjust my tonality with different clients. If they're soft-spoken, I had to be a little soft-spoken, sort of match their vibe. And same thing with clients that are a little bit aggressive. So I feel like I would just shoot everything out at one time, and I wouldn't personally relate with them and listen to them. And I feel like I missed out on some opportunity early on, but then again, it's a whole learning curve. So I would take those mishaps, and let's say I didn't know too much about a specific product that I couldn't explain, and I didn't get into the conversation that I didn't want to. And so I would just, after office hours, I would really practice, seek outside resources, whether it be YouTube videos, online websites of different products, things like that. So I really worked on myself to get my tonality correct, my wording correct, and my knowledge correct. And I'm still working on it till this day.
I think you're constantly learning. I think that's an extremely important point. And it's interesting. One of the first things I did when I started working with some of my teammates, previously at NEFCU and now at Jovia, was I kind of shopped us and I shopped the competition. And what I did was I met with folks and I posed as a business owner and I said, I'm interested in things. And you would you'll go through different experiences depending on who you spoke with. And you would see the seasoned folks do exactly what you're talking about, which is where they adjust their tonality. They adjust, if somebody's very aggressive, they might actually pull back and be a little slow to kind of slow them down, because then the other person kind of matches you. Also, there's the old, oh my goodness, I'm concerned. So you start talking high pitched and you kind of information dump, right? Mm-hmm. You give everybody all the information because you just want to tell them how wonderful everything is. And it is wonderful. And it is stuff that they'd be interested in. But you have to, as George says, you have to listen to what their concerns are. And then you talk about how the great stuff benefits them, because otherwise we're going to lose them, right? Excellent lessons to learn.
Yeah, and I was just wondering, every great intern and has a great mentor, right? And so what attributes would you say you've picked up or learned from your mentor, Mr. Pickney?
What haven't I picked up from this man?
Well, be careful, because my kids always pick up my bad habits. They never pick up the habits I try to impose on them, but go ahead.
One habit that I really respected, especially in this work, in this line of work, checking in on people, being this field that we work in, it does take a toll on you mentally, right? And being that he was someone who would make sure that his team was taken care of, not only at work but outside of work. Even as someone who is longing to be an entrepreneur, that helps me to kind of know that that's how I should also establish my team. Everyone's okay because we're in it together. So just having, everyone on the same page, making sure everyone's, clear-minded, everyone's okay. That was something that I really cherished.
So something that I picked up from George was, like, again, as Joanna just mentioned, is just checking up on your people. What we do is emotionally challenging, it's mentally challenging, and it's definitely physically challenging, because the way we are in the industry right now, it's tough. There's not a lot of incentive for people to take out money. So it becomes more of a challenge for us to do what we do. And George really is on top of making sure that we are mentally in check and emotionally in check, because sometimes we do need that conversation to express our feelings, how we feel, and things like that. And also is just clientele relationships. When I funded my first deal, I thought that was it. I got my money, I got paid, and that was it. But George was like, no, you need to send out a card to this person. Check up on this person. That's your client, and you have to make sure they stay your client. Establishing relationships and keeping relationships is one of the biggest things that I've learned from George.
Yeah, that relationship, it's just like learning. You just got to keep doing it. You got to keep on top of it. And I want to get into the nitty-gritty now. So I want to talk with you about some of the success stories that you've had. Precinct, we'll start with you. Is there a success story that you have with a client that you felt like, you know what, this is why I'm doing this?
I actually do. My first client, when I first spoke to the lady, she owns a daycare center, a child care center. When I first got on the phone with her, she's very skeptical. She was like, I know what you guys do. You're going to give me something high rate. I don't want anything high rate. What else can you do for me? I was battling her at first, but then I took it slow. I was like, hey, listen, I understand your concern. I'm not going to put in front of you something that you don't want, that you don't need. I'm going to put options together that make sense for you and me as well. So by giving her the ease of mind that I'm here to work for you. I don't work for any specific lending institution or anything like that. So it allowed me and her to establish sort of a decent relationship. From where we started battling each other is where we calmed things down, and she sent me everything I needed the same day. So we ended up getting her what she wanted. She was very happy, and we closed the deal. So I check on her on a monthly basis, and just recently she came back and we closed business with her once more. So that was my first client. I'm always gonna remember her. So that was one success story that I would say I definitely have with the company.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good one. And the great thing is when you help someone and when you're listening to them and you put together options that make sense to them and then they're happy and they come back to you, that is the ultimate compliment. They're saying, we trust you and we're working with you. And the other great thing is everybody has friends. And you're too young to know the shampoo commercial where it's, recommended to someone and so on and so on and so on. But that network grows. Congratulations on a wonderful success story and continue building on it.
Absolutely.
Continue doing your follow-ups and always ask, hey, is there a friend of yours that perhaps we can help? So Jahanza, how about you? Success story for you?
So similar to Preet, my success story did also come from my first funding. So with this gentleman, when he picked up the phone, initially he wasn't too interested because he was actually looking to get funded by a different company. Long story short, it turns out that they were actually going to scam him. But when he spoke to me, he, based off of my tone, he actually mentioned, how kind I came off. And that's the thing that in this industry, you're talking with people. These are everyday people, and sometimes when there are people out there who who look to scam you, they kind of sound like robots. They're not genuine. Our goal at Genesis is to be genuine and speak to people as people. So and he got that from me, that I actually cared about him and I actually cared about helping him. From that, we actually did end up getting him funded. We're on a first name basis, and I did end up sending out a card as well, and he did appreciate it. So yeah, that was a really wonderful moment for me.
That's really awesome when you help someone and they see the value in your relationship. It continues to grow. And, when you go from intern to entry level, you just start moving so fast that you start growing and coming into your own, right? So one day the mentee will become the mentor. Right, that's something to aspire to. Right. It's like it's your greatness. What are you looking to pursue overall? Right, you had this experience, you are gaining knowledge. Like, what is your ultimate goal?
I would say my ultimate goal is to not only make myself happy, but the people around me to be happy as well. I do aspire to probably make 7 figures in my life, right? And that's not only for me, but for the people around me. I do aspire to help others, not only my family either, but give back to the community. So that's just my ultimate goal, just to help people.
So what I aspire to do is still what I'm doing now, but at a bigger scale. I want to close deals in the 6 figures, even into the 7 figures, and ultimately I want to be able to manage money for high net worth individuals and corporations. So I'm looking into get into the banking sector after I finish my bachelor's in finance.
And I think those are goals to aspire to. And actually, they're very similar goals, because the way that you get that 6-figure, 7-figure success is that you're doing good work. You're doing good work for good people. And so kudos to you as you're stretching to achieve those goals and always learning. Now, how would you explain what you do to someone else? Like, let's say that there's a student listening and they're interested in this type of career track. What would you tell them?
So I would tell them that we are a financial warehouse that serves small to mid-sized businesses as well as large-sized businesses if it makes sense. What we do is we offer a variety of financing products that business owners can take advantage of both in the short term and in the long term. It's not easy. It's very, very difficult. So you need to be willing to be a student of the business, be coachable, and just have the willing to be tested and have the motivation and drive to get better day by day and just to achieve new levels of success within the business world, because what we do holds tremendous value to get to the next level. As
we bring things to a close, Jahanza, answer the same question, I guess. Mm-hmm. How would you explain that to a student? Would you agree with Precinct or
100%?
Add anything?
100%. If you have a business, if you know someone who has a business, and especially if they're a startup, if not, and they have this lump sum of money that comes out of nowhere, it's probably because they got funding from someone like us. That's really it.
And that's where it starts. Mm-hmm. George, any closing words?
I'm having a legendary year, Ray. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm very grateful for the opportunities I've been continuously keep getting. I'm continuously developing strong new talent to dominate the business market going into the future. So yeah, that's what I'm grateful for.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It's a good thing, and it's a good thing for good people. And where can people contact you?
Where people can contact me, there's multiple ways they can contact me. They can contact me on my email of the evolutionofsg@gmail.com, and also evolution_of_SG on Instagram. Yes, and you can also contact us at genesismerchantservices.com. So there's multiple ways you can get in contact with me. But I'm doing a lot of recruiting right now and everything. So I'm already working with a young man already on this campus already. So yeah, Christmas is coming early for me.
That's excellent. And we keep growing. And you know what? Workforce development on Long Island is extremely important. So thank you for the work that you're doing. And Jahanza and Precinct, thank you very much for joining us this morning as well.
Thank you.
And continued success to you both. Want to make sure that I leave you with DB's philosophy.
Success is making those who believe in you look brilliant.
I want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, your co-host and producers. Visit nccradio.org for more information. We are available on Odyssey, TuneIn, iHeartRadio as a podcast in iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of National Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hi, I'm Ice-T. As a veteran, I know that for many former servicemen and women, the battle doesn't always end when they come home. Every day, 184 veterans are diagnosed with post-traumatic stress, and sadly, 20 take their own lives. When nothing else helps, professionally trained service dogs can. American Humane, serving the U.S. military for over 100 years, rescues animals in need of forever homes and trains them to become free, life-saving service dogs for our nation's veterans. If you're a veteran or know a veteran struggling with post-traumatic stress or traumatic brain injury, please go to AmericanHumane.org to learn about their Pups for Patriots program. Let's give our veterans a fighting chance.
This year, over 50,000 law enforcement officers have been assaulted while on duty. A vast number of these attacks were filmed and uploaded to social media in the pursuit of likes and attention.
What they want to do is film you instead of like, what can I do to help this officer?
Together, we can change this disturbing trend.
If that individual would have hit the right spot, it could have been it for me. Last time I would have saw my wife, my kids.
I'm Mike Solon. Law enforcement officers need your support. If you see an officer under attack, then follow these simple steps in order to help. 1. Call 911 and give the officer's exact location. 2. Ask the officer if you can assist. If the officer accepts, then do whatever you can do to safely help. 3. If the officer declines, then start filming and be a good witness. It's time to stop filming and start helping.
Hi, I'm Dr. Anita Chandra with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Bedtime is a special time of day, a moment to connect with your child before going to sleep. After your child has brushed her teeth, read a book together, or talk a little about your day, and of course, tell her you love her. Having a routine every night helps your child structure her day, feel safe, and develop good sleep habits. Relationships matter. For more, talk with your pediatrician and visit healthychildren.org. Hi, I'm Dr. Anita Chandra with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Did you know e-cigarettes can be just as addictive as regular cigarettes? This is especially true for teenagers whose brains are still developing. Parents should learn the names for e-cigarettes and what they look like. Talk to your teen about the dangers of nicotine. Often, teens who start with e-cigarettes take up other forms of tobacco. For more information, visit healthychildren.org and talk with your pediatrician.